Grand Theft Auto 5 and Cyberpunk 2077 are both very similar and very different video games. GTA 5 smacked everyone across the face with its great graphics, superb world design, engaging story and fun gameplay mechanics, and Cyberpunk 2077, well, just smacked everyone across the face. I wasn't too sure if I should make this video, but you, the community, decided, so here it is. Also, for those of you who may not have played either game, don't worry, I'm keeping it all spoiler free. I will compare the games based on these 5 subjects: the story, world, combat, driving and side activities. Then at the end, the game with the most points is your winner. However, something that is deeply important to note before we begin is I won't be taking into account the bugs, glitches and false promises from Cyberpunk. I'm just going to talk about the games from a purely game design perspective. If you think I should include the bugs and such, then let me just cut this video short for you. GTA 5 demolishes Cyberpunk in pretty much every way possible because it's actually playable. I know you're already commenting that even with these rules, Cyberpunk doesn't stand a chance, but look at this chart. Dude, less than 3% of you who watch my videos are subscribed. I'm not gonna lie, my feelings are kinda hurt. Now, I didn't want to do this, but you've left me no choice. Either subscribe to my channel right now, or I'm gonna hurt this cat. But with that out of the way, it's time for GTA 5 vs Cyberpunk 2077. Let's begin. Grand Theft Auto 5's story included a unique twist. Instead of the usual one protagonist, we got 3 this time: Michael, Franklin, and the mentally unstable Trevor. All 3 characters were well written, extremely well voice acted, and interesting in their own way. Now, whilst I enjoyed Michael and Franklin, I never really liked Trevor. He was funny, sure, and brought a lot of comedic relief to the story, so I'd say he's entertaining. However, I just couldn't get invested in him in the slightest. He was just too over the top for my liking, and for the most part was just a terrible person. I know everyone else loved him, but well, I didn't. It also doesn't help that the writers decided to make Trevor up and kill Johnny from GTA 4, which to this day has still left a sour taste in my mouth. I get that Trevor wasn't supposed to be a likable character, but if you're forcing me to play as him, there should at least be some redeeming qualities other than him just being crazy. The story in general, however, was very well told with great mission structure, even if it was quite linear in terms of gameplay decisions. Instead of trying to deliver a grounded narrative like GTA 4, GTA 5 chose for a little more over the top, chuck realism out the window and purely focus on fun routes. The addition of heists were also fantastic, as was the evolving relationship between the main cast, and in typical Rockstar fashion, of course, you have to make a very hard choice at the end. Even though the story didn't always appeal to me, I can't deny its quality. 8.5 out of 10. Cyberpunk's story was probably its saving grace. Out of all the crap this game put forth, the story was probably the only part that didn't have any massive glaring issues. Remember, I wanted to disregard hype and expectations and only review what was put forth to us. If you'd rate the story lower because we were lied to about having vastly different experiences and told that our starting paths would actually mean more than they really did, then that's up to you. But I'm solely focusing on what the game actually gave us, and even though it lacked those big story choices throughout, in general, CDPR did a great job here. Whilst V isn't necessarily a compelling main protagonist, and for some reason no matter what line of dialogue you pick you still end up sounding grunt and tough in your reply, I think both male and female options were really well voice acted and enjoyable to play as. The way the game opened up was also fantastic. I just had so many questions about the city and how everything operates within it from the get-go. The side characters were also really good. Jackie, Judy, Takamura, Kerry, Panam, and of course Johnny Silverhand. The supporting cast really helped push the narrative along. Now, the main point of contention would be the pacing. It is sluggish and you'll spend a lot of time talking to characters. However, that was a good thing for me. I didn't mind because I had questions I wanted answered about this world and its backstory, and there was plenty of action throughout the campaign to keep me engaged, so I never personally got bored. Just like GTA 5, there were also some missions that were very linear but disguised otherwise, like when getting chased by a bunch of goons, they'll crash their van even if you do nothing. Though the story was on the shorter side than what you'd expect from a CDPR game, it was still expertly told and enjoyable with some meaningful scenes throughout. 9 out of 10. Could have been higher too if CDPR just gave it a bit more polish. Get it? Polish. As in Polish. Because CDPR from I'm gonna kill myself. GTA 5 is set in Los Santos, which is a fictional but pretty accurate take on LA. I've never visited, but just seeing comparison videos online, it seems like Rockstar did a great job depicting the city. The world is also very visually appealing. For a game that released in 2013 on the 360 and PS3, it holds up very well. The weather effects are great, there are lots of NPC variety and just a ton of NPCs on your screen in general, whether they're on the sidewalk or driving around. The world is definitely alive. The ragdoll effects are hilarious, if not a bit silly, and the AI constantly reacts to your actions. Like, if you stand in front of a moving car, they'll run you over. If you pull someone out their car, they'll sometimes fight back. If you crash your car into someone else's, they'll give you the finger. If you attack a guy walking his dog will attack you back. It's insane at times. My one gripe with the world is the wanted system. If you commit a crime out in the woods with no one around, the authorities can still get on your case. Another problem are the police cars. They'll just teleport around you, blocking your path when trying to escape, which is something that was always a bother to me. In general though, the wanted system is well done. The world is pretty, it's dense, populated and alive in the places it needs to be, and quiet, spaced out and empty in the other places it needs to be. The map is massive and designed in a way that's playground-like, with ramps letting you slide your vehicle into the air, skate parks to ride your BMX and so on. 9 out of 10. Now this one is really tough. In terms of pure aesthetics, design and detail, Night City is a straight 10. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous, vibrant, claustrophobic and dense in some areas and more spaced out in others. The verticality of the city is almost labyrinth-like at times. The neon lights in the evening as you drive around, the reflective glow from the ground when it rains, the intricacy when maneuvering through this concrete jungle is something to behold. Night City is truly masterfully crafted and something that CDPR should be very proud of. However, when critiquing the world of a video game, you can't purely default to its design. There are tons of other features that make up the open world, and it's a damn shame that most of it in Cyberpunk 2077 is lackluster, to put it nicely. There is a novel's worth of issues to talk about, however, I'd prefer to get this video out before next year, so I'ma just condense it down. The police system is broken and tacked on. This isn't something you can blame on bugs or glitches. It's clear this had been thrown together last minute due to time constraints. Police officers will literally teleport on you when you commit a crime, though don't worry, because it turns out all you need to do to escape the feds is walk around the corner. Literally, that's how you ditch the police in Cyberpunk. No one in Night City apart from you drives on a motorcycle. The AI for drivers and NPCs are straight up terrible. Every NPC resorts to like 2 reactions when you do something, either cower to the ground or run away in fear. Enemy AI is better, but nothing special. There were many times when an enemy would just stand still and gladly let me shoot them. Whilst the NPCs have tons of cool and unique designs, the fact they lazily had a feature to make NPCs disappear once they got out of your view due to unoptimization issues is shocking. And lastly, this is the most important part, and it sucks to say this, but the world just feels, well, dead. Like, nothing's happening, ever. Tacked on random encounters, no civilian car crashes, no NPCs doing something interesting. Once you get through the main phase of the glitz and glamour illusion, you see that it's all really just a big pile of nothing. Sometimes the game won't even load NPCs in and you'll just be driving around a literal empty city. If you compare the living, breathing world of Red Dead Redemption 2 or The Witcher 3 to Cyberpunk, it's astonishing how different they are. It pains me to do this, it really does, because I genuinely love this world, but 7 out of 10. Which of course is still really good, but it's just that it could have easily been a 10. Now, though it's no Forza Motorsport, I genuinely really love the driving mechanics in GTA 5. They decided fun factor was most important and made cars handle arcadey to the point you can even control your vehicle whilst airborne. Jets are super fun to use, helicopters and airplanes are also in the game, and somehow everything handled well. Not realistically, of course, as you still have trucks in the game making Fast and Furious style drifts, but again, it was fun and fit the tone. The sheer variety of vehicles also made buying cars worthwhile, as was the ability to customize them at the auto shop. I mean, even now looking back, you can see the crazy amount of vehicles in this game. Sports, off-road, supercars, there are even different types of bicycles. Though most vehicles feel floaty, they're still fun enough that I never get bored driving around. GTA 5's abundance of vehicles and driving mechanics showed years of refinement from Rockstar. 9.5 out of 10. I'm gonna make this one quick. The driving mechanics in Cyberpunk kinda suck. Every time I see my turn coming up, I grab my rosary beads, my lucky rabbit's foot, throw some salt over my left shoulder and pray, because unless I slow down, which I won't do because I'm not a bitch, I will crash. Later on, once you get some high-end vehicles, the mechanics are much better, but slap my thigh and call me Alejandro, do the vehicles handle like bumper cars early on. And to make matters worse, the minimap is so zoomed in that you'll just zoom right on past your turn unless you drive like an old lady. So it wasn't enough that I'm already sliding across the place like an octopus on ice, but now I'm also crashing into everything because I have no idea when the heck my next turn will be. Cyberpunk? More like cyber insert generic overused copy-paste joke here, punk, am I right, guys? And don't even get me started on how there are no flying vehicles in this game. Yeah, 6 out of 10 before I burst a vein. And you better be thankful we even got that, because it would have been lower too if it wasn't for the fact that the high-end vehicles do look really cool and motorbikes don't handle like a fish on land. Grand Theft Auto 5 obviously had a big focus on firearms and gave us a lot of different weapons to choose from. I genuinely never get bored of combat in this game, as it's not only well refined but also has different ways to transform the weapons as well as different variations of the same weapon type. Grenades, rocket launchers, knives, dynamite, shotguns, remote explosives, snipers, pistols, SMGs, assault rifles, you name it, it's got it. The cover mechanics are good enough but will occasionally still expose you to the enemy, and running from cover to cover pretty much always leads to getting wasted whenever under a decent amount of fire pressure. The gun sounds are great, they handle really well, you can customize and upgrade most weapons to a surprising extent, and even though the combat isn't anything special, because it's just so well polished, it's still fun enough that I enjoy it even now in 2021. I mean, even the hand-to-hand combat is pretty good. I can never get enough of punching random people on the street, so funny. But back to GTA 5, even though the game released in 2013, the combat doesn't show a second of old age, just great, yeah, 8.5 out of 10. Congrats CDPR, combat was genuinely a blast in Cyberpunk, super fun and had tons of variety. Though the fist fighting sucked donkey balls, the rest of it was great. Probably due to the fact that Cyberpunk is a first-person shooter, this made gunplay way more engaging and tactful. Moving around cramped areas was also more fluid than pretty much any third-person game, even something as well refined as Gears of War. It's just a shame some aspects of combat felt off, mainly the sliding. How do you mess up sliding? Ugh, anyway. The enemy variety was also quite impressive, from random gangsters on the street to corporate big shots with high-end firearms to jacked up muscle-bound meatheads ready to obliterate you with a baseball bat to cybernetically advanced freaks that dodge bullets and slice you down in mere seconds. What's also surprising is that pretty much every gun handled differently but also really well. Snipers, pistols, assault rifles, shotgun, whilst the variety of firearms weren't on the same level as GTA 5's, there was still plenty to keep you interested and then some. The skill tree also allowed the player to invest in perks to improve combat or add something new to it, and the cybernetic body enhancements like the double jump and mantis blades, which alone were enough for me to thoroughly enjoy getting into altercations, constantly gave us new ways to not only just move around the city, but alter combat, even if they did cost an arm and a leg. Get it? An arm and a leg? 9 out of 10. When it comes to side activities in Grand Theft Auto 5, there are plenty of them. Tennis, golf, darts, hunting, the shooting range, you can even run triathlons. The side missions are pretty cool and sometimes even connect to the main story, and of course the random encounters are very odd but entertaining. Now, I don't think the side activities were all that amazing. Nothing bad, definitely, but I think they just lacked repeatability. For example, how many times during your playthrough did you actually go hunting besides that one main story mission? How many times did you run triathlons? How many times did you actively go out searching for side quests? Don't get me wrong, GTA 5 is a phenomenal sandbox experience, one of the greatest of all time, giving us tons of different ways to explore, interact with, and have fun in the world. However, I'd just argue that most of these side activities weren't all that engaging besides some of the side missions here and there. Still though, because there were just a plethora of stuff to do outside the main narrative trying to keep you entertained, I can't justify giving it any lower than an 8 out of 10. Now, whilst I still believe that Skyrim and The Witcher 3 hold the crown for the best side content out of any open world game, Cyberpunk still did a great job not only giving us tons of side activities to do, but also making them enjoyable and have them matter in the overall outcome of the story. If you played Cyberpunk without doing the side missions, then you didn't really play Cyberpunk. Now, maybe to some that's a negative, since it's almost forcing you to dive into the side content so you get a better ending and more context to what happens to these characters and the overall story arc. But you know what? I consider it a massive plus because it gave more meaning and importance to the side content other than just something fun to do, though that is perfectly fine. Even jobs which are just a one and done mission are really enjoyable. Not only that, but in Cyberpunk you can find legendary weapons scattered across the world. You can buy vehicles, there's boxing, which let's be honest kinda sucks, and more. Not everything is well refined and worthwhile doing, however I'd argue a large portion is. 9 out of 10. Alright, so whilst I do the math, please consider slapping that like button and leaving a comment down below to please the YouTube algorithm. Okay, so with a score of 43.5 out of 50, your winner, Grand Theft Auto 5. Unfortunately, Cyberpunk fell short with a score of 40 out of 50. GTA 5 has shown its age didn't mean a decrease in quality at all. Everything holds up to this day. And though Cyberpunk had a disastrous launch and has features either thrown in last minute or missing completely, I think if you remove the hype and technical problems, which I know is a pretty big ask, underneath it all, there's still a great game in there. I hope CDPR can take the time to really turn the game around, and I hope that Rockstar stops teasing us and just reveals GTA 6, because I don't know how much more waiting my itty bitty heart can take. Well, that's the end of this video. Let me know down below what 2 games should battle it out for our admiration next, and do not forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.